time you can blow up the meteor while it's still in his mouth. Stinger is the best option for that because if you do it too early, Phantom gets staggered anyway, cancelling his attack. And if you do it too late, you'll often intercept the meteor, in which case you don't send it back to him, but you don't take damage either. When I'm not focusing on that, you'll see him shooting him even if most of the shots end up getting blocked by his carapace. The reason for that is, even though they don't do any damage, they're great at building up some Devil Trigger, and you really want to have as much of it as possible against the bosses because they have about twice as much health on this difficulty. This is the pattern you'll see with all the bosses going forward. They all have so much health that Devil Trigger is really the only good way of dealing damage to them. That might seem kind of dumb, and normally I'm not a big fan of the types of damage sponge enemies that tend to crop up on the higher difficulties of other games, but here it actually makes the fights a little bit more strategic. You really need to be thinking about when and how you're going to use your Devil Trigger, and also about how you're going to build it back up once it's gone. After beating Dante Must Die and playing again on normal, I felt like I was taking massive chunks out of the bosses with every hit. It's worth noting that the basic enemies don't have extra health on the higher difficulties, so it wasn't just a case of blindly turning up some dials to make the game harder. It was a very deliberate decision to give the bosses a certain amount of longevity. Ultimately, it gives me the impression that this is the amount of health the bosses were originally designed to have, which was then lowered, whereas in most other games it feels like the bosses are balanced around normal and then have their health boosted for the harder modes. There really is no absolutely right or wrong way of approaching difficulty options, especially since every game is different.